Hey, Dr. Gila here. Just like for a lot of you, summer in my world means things look a little bit different. And so I'm practicing what I preach, as it were, and taking a little bit of time off from recording new podcast episodes. Instead, I've decided to air replays of some of my most popular episodes. These are the ones that seem to really resonate with all of you, and for good reason. These are all topics that are so universal and so important, and so I hope a refresh and a re-listen will be really helpful for you over the summer. I also want to mention that if things are feeling hard and you have a lot of meltdowns in your home, I do have a free printable guide that walks you through my simple visual metaphor to help you understand why you and your kids have a hard time, lose it, snap, all of those fun things, and an acronym to help you remember the 7 main categories of things that can contribute to those big meltdowns and other tough episodes. Go to parentingwithconnection.com/guide. I'll also put the link in the show notes for you. All right, now on to the show. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Gila, and I have a confession for you this week. Being playful does not come naturally to me. It is not my strength, which is why I am so excited to bring you this interview with Mia Wisinski of Playful Heart Parenting. I adore Mia and her content. She talks all about how to insert these little moments of playfulness into your day, even when you don't have the energy, you're just not in the mood, how to do it when you're running on fumes. She has some apps out now that help with playful ideas. She has all sorts of great resources and tips on her Instagram page and on her website. And in today's episode, we are diving into a little bit about why this feels so hard for so many of us, and I am definitely including myself in the us, how you can access silliness and playfulness even when you're feeling tapped out and low energy, and why being playful might actually save you some time and energy rather than cost you. I hope you find some really useful little nuggets in here. And yes, there may be fart noises involved. Enjoy. Welcome to Single Parenting with Connection, Not Perfection, the podcast that honors your messy reality. It's the support you crave without the usual emotional landmines. I'm your host, Dr. Gila, and I promise I will never tell you to just tag your partner in. Before we start, quick reminder. While I am a licensed psychologist and a certified coach, this podcast is not coaching and it's not therapy, and it's not a replacement for medical or psychological advice. It is for educational and informational purposes only. All right, let's dive in. Mia, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Gila. I'm so excited to be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, and I want to add, so I first met Mia when I hosted a resource bundle for single parents. And I think that was towards the beginning of your business journey. And since then, your following has really sort of exploded. And I think that says a lot about so many things. First of all, how magical you are as a creator. I love watching your reels. They're so relatable and down to earth. And I also think it speaks to play being such a hot topic that parents know that they want to lean into more, but oh my goodness, it is hard sometimes. And I know a lot of single parents out there listening are probably feeling so exhausted and depleted that the idea of being playful or imaginative or creative just feels like too much. So I'm so glad to have you here. Tell me, why do you think this playfulness and imaginativeness, why is it so hard for us as adults and as parents?
Oh, well, there's like so many reasons it's hard. But like the first one is that just like life is hard and we are the grown-ups with all of the responsibilities
Yeah,
and all of the stressors and like having to take care of everyone and pay the bills and deal with
yeah,
medical issues and financial issues and like and the serious heaviness of the world and it's just so exhausting. And on
Yeah.
top of that, playfulness, as I like to put it, like we're weaned off of it as we grow and we're told to like, focus and work hard and take things seriously and get good grades and get into a good school and get a good job and work and, you know, be productive. And there's very little room left for playfulness by the time we get to this part. And,
Yeah.
then our kids come along and we realize, oh, like I don't even really remember how to access that because I've been in work mode for so long, I think is like maybe
Yeah.
the short answer of it. At least for
Yeah.
me, even as a fun theatrical person, parenthood stressed me out so much because I wanted to do everything right and felt this overwhelming sense of responsibility and should do this, should do that, that it really kind of ripped the fun rug right out from under me, even as an adult who was, I think, pretty playful and goofy. So it took a while to get back to that and realize how important it actually was.
Yeah. As I was listening to you, it struck me that in us being able to be playful with our kids, even as they do start getting older into those tween and maybe even teen years, I wonder if we're shifting the problem that you're describing. So it sounds like we got a lot of narratives and messaging that we can't and shouldn't be silly and playful past a certain age. We're weaned off of it. I love that phrasing, that concept. So, do you think that there's space for us to change that? And how might that affect parents, when our kids become parents?
I love that. Yeah, totally. And I will say that as a teen in my family, I was still making like really silly, hilarious home video, like our own SNL style skits with my sister and my dad. And even my mom, she was busy working a lot, but when she could, we'd rope her into it. And like with whoopee cushions and like outlandish characters and costumes, I was still doing that. In the privacy of my home, I wasn't necessarily as outgoing in school. I was pretty shy, except for when I was like on stage. Um, but I think that did help me continue um, prioritizing playfulness into adulthood, and then having a
Mm,
career in theater and having that like being comfortable being silly and goofy. But I know that teens love to still play because I'm a theater
yeah.
educator and I will play games with them up on stage and they are hilarious and they're connecting with each other and they're laughing so hard and they always ask, are we going to play a game today? Like before rehearsal starts. And that's teens asking that. They want to play. It's just they need like the permission
Yeah.
because they're trying during school, it's like there's so much focus on being cool and, we can't really escape that. But I do think that if we give them the permission, it does
Mm,
change that narrative of play
yeah.
is just for little kids because it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. I love that. And, I often talk about giving ourselves permission, that we don't give ourselves permission to feel the heavy and prickly feelings and to prioritize things that are important to us rather than society. And as I'm hearing you talk about giving our teens permission to be silly, I wonder if that's a piece of it for ourselves, giving ourselves permission to be silly, to be playful.
Yeah, because we're so wired to be productive that like carving out time or not even carving out time because really honestly it doesn't take any time to like make a fart noise or make a silly face. It really doesn't. You can you can do it on the fly as you're doing other things, right?
I want to hear your fart noise, Mia.
Or to get a really good one, I'll get lip gloss on my elbow, but well, I can't really do it, but if you get down in there, you could do a good one. But
Right,
that's a
master fart techniques here,
constant.
folks.
My friend Adam can do like the armpit ones and he can do like different pitches. It's really impressive.
Oh
I
my
can't do
God.
that. But that's like we make fart noises a lot over here because it's just like it just helps regulate everyone. And
Yeah.
so back to what I was saying is like we're so wired to be productive and have that to-do list. And this is me included. Like I'm not this is just as much for hearing it for myself that we feel like that is just something extra. And
Mm,
it's like hard for us to shift gears and like, okay, well, now I'm going to carve out time for this to-do list thing, this chore, like that,
right.
because I'm supposed to be playful. But really, like, it doesn't actually take any more time, maybe a few minutes.
Mhm.
But then you're going to maybe, save a few minutes because the energy's better and we don't have to get into a power struggle about something, or everyone's just going to be feeling a
Yeah.
little bit more happy because we're all making fart noises and oh wow, now bedtime was a breeze,
Uh-huh.
So I think we're so wired to be productive and serious. But if we can try to shift our mindset about it, it's really helpful for us too as adults to just loosen up a little bit
Mhm.
and not think of it as like this extra thing that is taking us away from
Yeah.
what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and I can think of several times in my own parenting where I did manage somehow to channel that playfulness and was amazed that it did save time because in being playful, it got bedtime to go more smoothly, or it avoided what seemed like it was going to be a big meltdown or something like that. And so, absolutely, I think sometimes it actually saves us time, but it's not just time that it takes energy. And I think that that's often maybe even the bigger obstacle. It's that energy when you're just so tapped out and depleted. So I'd love to hear, do you have like some tips on when you're feeling depleted, when you just don't have it in you? How can you easily, maybe easily, simply sort of infuse a little bit of playfulness into things?
Well, my first tip is to like just already give yourself the permission that like if you just absolutely don't have it, like don't force it because none of us
Mm.
are going to be a clown around the clock, including me. Like there are full days where I'm not very playful at all. And I have to
Mhm.
give myself that there's a little voice that's like, okay, playful heart parenting, you big fraud. Like you're not being playful at all today. You're being grumpy and serious and harsh. And it's like, you should just delete your whole business. And that's
Mm,
just not that's not fair to anyone to put that pressure on yourself. But I think like parenting, creators or influencers probably can relate to like, oh gosh, I'm preaching this or, it's trying to spread this word, but like
mhm.
I'm having a hard time accessing that. So like if I'm having a hard time accessing that, even
Yeah.
though it's something I'm so intentional about practicing, like everyone's gonna have a hard time accessing that sometimes. So like the first tip is like if you are just like highly anxious and stressed and having just a really hard day and you don't even have it in you to try, like that's okay. Let's maybe try on a day where it's like, I might have a little capacity to try this. And then like start there because you will get to the point if you've practiced it enough that you see when you do infuse a little bit of playfulness and you get that belly laugh and that makes you belly laugh, it's like, oh wait, I actually have more energy now. Like that just
Mm,
reinvigorated me, that just re-energized me, and I'm
yeah,
starting to feel better, and oh wow, maybe I needed that even more than the kids. And
yeah,
then when you have like learned that like feedback loop so many times, then you might actually be able to try to do a little playfulness on a tough day
yeah,
because like, okay, I don't feel like this at all, but like I have firsthand experienced it shifting my mood in the whole household.
yeah.
So don't try to force it on just a really bad day. Just
I
try
love
on a day where you have a little bit of capacity. And then it's not
that.
even necessarily sitting down and like my example I always say is like it's not sitting down and making yourself play Barbies for a half hour. Like that's never going to be it for me. It's more like making the fart noise which got us laughing just and took a little bit of
Right.
stress off me like a few minutes
Yeah.
ago. I was like, okay, here's this interview but like I'm making a fart noise. Like cool. Like okay, I'm more relaxed now. Like life doesn't have to be so serious and uptight. And
Yeah.
so it's just little things like that. Um, and I can give you, and I will give, specific examples and even scripts and even actual ideas of like, pretend your child's foot is a phone ringing and answer it and then get mad, pretend it's a telemarketer and then get another call and you're trying to order a pizza that's going to the wrong house. Like I can give you actual silly little ideas like that if you're just like, I got nothing. But the real magic is all the messages I get from parents is like, I was just trying to think like, what would Mia do one day? And I came up with this. And that's like something I would have never come up with because the best magical part of all of this is like you just shifting your mindset into it and coming up with
Yeah.
your own unique idea on the spot from just being in the moment. So
Yeah.
those are my, that's
I
my
love,
overall
yeah.
advice for when you don't have the energy. It's just like,
Yeah.
don't force it. And then start really small on a day where you're like, maybe I could try this today. And then just notice how you feel afterwards.
Mm, I love that. So first of all, so validating and normalizing. Thank you. And it is
Yeah.
good to hear that even you struggle with it on some days. And I love this idea. So what I'm hearing is that it's almost like there's this dormant part of us that's been asleep for a little while. And so having faith that as you do start to slowly, it's like building a muscle, that as you start to slowly bring that part out again, that it will become easier. So if it feels impossible right now, to have some faith that it might take a little bit more effort now, and then eventually might be a little more natural, come a little more easily.
I have friends that have told me, like, oh, well, I was just basically born grown up. Like, I've always been serious. I wasn't even goofy as a kid. So, like, how am I supposed to do that
Yeah.
now? And to that, I say, I don't know exactly how you're going to do it because you are your own unique person with a sense of humor. And maybe
Mm,
there's some childhood stuff you want to look at and dig into, and you'll find actually, like, this is more my style. And
mhm.
that's great. I think it's just being open to it and not feeling like you have to put on this whole theatrical persona that like I'm putting on because I'm literally a theater actress, but maybe
Yeah.
your style is a little bit different and just the mindset piece of it that yes, like we all have some we're born with an innate sense of playfulness and wonder and creativity and like I really do believe that's still in us and it can be learned or relearned and it just
Mm,
not going to look it's not going to look the same for everyone.
yeah, I love that. So, okay, so we have fart noises and we have feet telephones. Um, I'm imagining, so one of the things that I think is really challenging as a single parent is when you are not feeling well, you're sick, you have a headache or something like that, or you're just, again, you're just like exhausted and you're like, I am not moving off this couch. Um, is there, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but is there anything that you can do like from the couch, not moving, that is low effort, low energy? Can you think of an example of something you can do in those moments?
Gila, I think like most of my ideas are couch friendly. Especially these days, I'm nursing my baby and I have a toddler who's wild and an 8-year old stepdaughter. And I am usually like, I'm not really running around. The only time I'm running around playing is when I have the baby and I'm pretending that she's chasing, the toddler. But for the most part, I'm sitting these days. And like the first thing that's coming to my mind, because we do this literally every day with my 3-year-old son, is collaborative storytelling. And we make up
Mm,
a silly story on the spot. And it doesn't take too much brain power from me
yeah.
because I am just feeding a little teeny bit at a time and then letting him feed some back. And then I'm adding some. So I
Yeah.
might say, like, we can practice this together right now, you and me, and you can see how easy it is. Once upon a time, there was a frog named
Tony.
Tony. That's really funny because my son is in this like phase of naming every character Tono. I don't know why.
Oh,
And
interesting.
Tony was really, really hungry, so he decided to go make some lunch. And he was on the search for some
Enchiladas.
because he loved enchiladas. And he heard there was some really good fly enchiladas around the corner. Right. And then so I'm just going off of what you're saying. And I'm pretending like right now you're my 3-year-old who might just give me one word at a time. So it may take a
Uh-huh.
little more brain power from me. But like with my 8-year-old stepdaughter, she like basically tells the whole story and I just add a little teeny bit in there.
Uh-huh.
And it's something that is so easy, but when you let kids drive the bus on a story, like it's going to be hilarious. And if you just go with it and let them lead. And so that's just like the easiest. And I have all kinds of conversation games you can see on my Instagram, like examples of us playing, but the essence of it is just like making up something silly together and like listening
Mm,
to each other and going back and forth. And that's also great for like waiting rooms when you don't want your son like licking the ground and you just like captivate, by
Yeah.
making up this story together. So
Yeah.
that's like my
I
go-to.
I think I shared with you I was recently on a train and it was dark already outside, so there was nothing to look at outside the train. We didn't have iPads with us, and I had my 10-year-old and I had my 8-year-old nephew also. And I channeled you. I thought, what I thought, what would Mia do? And so we started one of those conversation things where we each say one word and we build a story.
Yes.
And I have to say we had to stop because they were laughing so hard, people were getting annoyed with us on the train.
Because it's
Um,
so funny. It's one word
yeah.
story is my favorite game, but it's a little bit difficult unless you have slightly older children that can really like listen and focus. I even have, middle school students that like have a hard time with it, but it's like the next level of what you and I just did where we're like
Yeah.
once upon a time and you really have to listen to each other and it gets so funny so quickly.
Yeah.
I love
That's
that.
exactly what we did. Yeah. So it was great. And I was proud of myself because the
Yeah.
truth is, folks, I am not super playful and this is something that I have struggled with. So that's why I'm just so grateful to have you here. So thank you. That was fantastic. I am asking everyone because I'm passionate about parenting, single parenting with connection, not perfection. We have already talked about both of these things, but what is something that you do that you think fosters connection with your kiddos or with yourself? I know play certainly comes into play. But what comes to mind when I say that for you?
I think it's just looking for any little opportunities or moments of humor that
Hmm.
pop up because to me, humor and laughter is the ultimate joy. And what I've learned, like every night before my family goes to bed, we all share our favorite part of the day, but we usually each share like five and something we're grateful for. And
Mhm.
what we've noticed over the years, because we've pretty much never missed a night over the last few years, and what we've noticed is we almost always all choose something that was really silly or funny that made us laugh, whether it was a
Yeah.
game we intentionally played or like something that the kids did, like a word they said that was backwards and we all laughed or something funny that happened. And
Yeah.
so when you do that enough over the years, you start to realize, okay, well, I guess if those are always our favorite parts of the day, like that's what life is about. Like that's what
Yeah.
joy is for us. And so it's prioritizing laughter at all
Mm.
when it's looking for it, looking to lean into those moments of humor, even on a bad day. And that because we all have them, and I've had a lot of them recently. It's a really, really hard season of life
Mm.
for me right now. And I just try to lean into them and say, okay, no, today's a bad day, but I am going to just intentionally for a second recognize that like we're laughing in this moment and this little moment of joy is sneaking up and I'm
Mhm.
going to notice it. And I'm not going to just
Mhm.
going to like brush off the whole day as a bad day, even if it
Mhm.
was just like notice this one little thing and try to remember it for tonight when I say my favorite part of the day. So I can like
Yeah.
hold on to it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing, first of all, finding those little moments of joy and laughter in your day. But I'm also hearing this beautiful nighttime practice of what's your favorite part of the day. And that itself sounds really connection building. I love that. I might steal that.
Yes, absolutely. I was actually just kind of, I've posted about it a few times, but I was just kind of rewriting it back up I wanted to share it again for Thanksgiving when there's a lot of talk about gratitude going on. And
Mhm.
people often focus on like, teaching kids what gratitude is during Thanksgiving, but we practice it every night because it's just not one thing you can just learn, once and then
Mhm.
remember. It's like when you're, talking about it every single night. So yeah, we wanted to establish a bedtime ritual that just kind of connected us and
Yeah.
through joy and gratitude. And so that's why we just settled on we each share that. And often when we started and my stepdaughter was very, very young, she would say, and I'm grateful for like my new toy. It would be like it's something she got or like,
Yeah.
something material. And now it's shifted more to like, and I'm grateful like we had that really yummy dinner, or I'm grateful that the weather was nice and we got to play outside. It's like shifted to more of like what,
Mm.
gratitude actually is not just the stuff, but it's like the stuff outside. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really like it. And I love that my babies are growing up with it too, so they can just kind of like absorb that.
Yeah. And I also love that, gratitude, while I think is absolutely a worthwhile thing to teach our kids, gratitude itself, like as a word and as a concept, being grateful can sometimes be hard for kids to wrap their heads around. Whereas, what was your favorite part of the day? I could see that being an easier, especially for the younger kiddos, an easier thing to access. So I love that.
And one thing that's cool about that too is that we notice we'll start to say it during the day. We won't even wait until the end. Like my son, who's 3, will say, "That was my favorite part of the day." Like after something
Uh,
funny happened, and I'll even say it, or even if I don't say it out loud, I'll think it like, "Oh, I'm banking that one away for favorite part of the day." And then
yeah,
what that does is just help us be more present and notice like, there's joy right now. I'm holding
yeah,
on to that. I'm saving. I'm bookmarking this,
I
and
love
that's
it.
really cool.
Yeah, and that's one of the powerful things about gratitude practices because our brains have this negativity bias where we're more apt to notice the hard stuff. And so we're kind of training our brains to notice those favorites or the grateful stuff. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then imperfection. Where is a place in your life that you really embrace imperfection?
Well, it's one I'm still working on, but
Mm,
uh just like here's what's coming to mind is just like
yeah.
my house.
Mm-hmm.
Um like my walls have just Sharpie drawn, and it's not even Sharpie, it's actually a chalk marker. It's even worse. It like really gets into the fiber of materials and things. Like just chalk marker and Sharpies like drawn all over the walls. Like we had like a mural artist come to our house, and like he did the bulk of it one day when I was nursing my daughter, and I was like, "It's too quiet out there. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna not get up right now because I just can't." Hopefully he didn't make too much of a mess. And I went out there and it was like, oh my gosh. But like I wasn't even mad because I was like, this is me embracing. Like I'm just embracing it. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
real. I was a little frustrated, or a lot frustrated, when I saw it was also all over the couch and on this bassinet that we were renting. But
Oh,
and like just the clutter and the mess, and even just the way I look, right? Like I show up on Instagram with a mom bun and like bags under my eyes, and I'm making the fart noises, and I'm playing these games, and I don't look put together, and I'm not your typical influencer by any means. And so parenthood and just starting to put myself out there with Playful Heart Parenting has really helped me embrace like, here's what my house looks like. Here's what I look like. I mean, look, here's some like tape on the wall, and it's just, it's messy,
yeah.
and I'm not put together. And even just like today for this interview, I got the time wrong and you were so gracious with me. But I was, I'm not this put together type A, like on top of it, A+ student anymore that I always was my whole life.
Yeah.
Now it's just chaotic. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to embrace like, it's okay if I'm not perfect.
I love that. And I'm hearing like embracing a shifting of priorities, that you're giving yourself
Hmm.
permission, as you should, oh, I don't like the word should. You're giving yourself permission as you deserve, that's better,
Mm-hmm.
as you deserve,
Mm-hmm.
to let go of some of the things that have trickled down on the priority ladder. Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. All right. So I am going to put links so that you can all connect with Mia. I'm sure you're dying to do that. But Mia also has a free resource. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what they're gonna get for free?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that I can, just for the days where you're like, I just need like a little inspiration. And we talked about like the foot phone idea. I have more ideas like that. Easy, silly moments to share with your
Mm,
child, that you can access, and you can take it or leave it if it's not up your alley. But what my hope is that it will kind of inspire you to come up with your own twist, or maybe if it flops, it morphs into something else. Great, there's no
yeah.
rules, but just a little something to help get you started if you're like, I don't know even where to start.
Awesome. I'm definitely downloading that one. All right. Thank you so much, Mia. Such a pleasure to have you. Always great to chat with you.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
That's it for this episode. I am so glad you found your way here. And remember, even if you're on your own, you don't have to do it alone. You've got this.